Welcome to the MagiReco News. I'm MagiReco the Resilium. I might be small in stature, but at least I'm big in forehead. Our top story today, we are actually getting a new character, even though some people were probably wondering if we're going to get a rerun, because we just got a new character with Animarena, but I guess she doesn't really count, so we're actually getting a new character, but it's an unlimited, so I can already tell you, like, hey, if you guys want to save your rolls, we have an unlimited character coming up. What is actually going to be happening? Just two things actually, just a new character and one new event, which is a double tower and basically nothing else, because, you know, this was supposed to be the cooldown period from Kimochi, and by the way, the Kimochi has been rescheduled to the 20th of June. That's when it's gonna happen now, because they had to be delayed because bugs or whatever. So who is actually the new character? Well, it's Akari. And you might be wondering, who is Akari? Well, she has been in a few events so far as a side character, but unless you're actually reading the stories yourself, you probably have never seen her. So what's the deal with Akari? Basically, she's like a little kid, like a 11-year-old, maybe like about as old as the hospital trio, like Nemu, Toka, and whatever, about that age. But here's the thing that's maybe a bit weird about her, is that she like wished to be more mature, which is, by the way, a very realistic wish. If MagiReco girls were real, they would wish for just, you know, just maturity, because who as a kid didn't want to be older? Everyone, when we were kids, we were like, oh man, I can't wait to be older, right? I can't wait to be an adult. So she wished to be more mature, at least that's what we think. I think it was hinted that was her wish. However, the side effect of that is that when she transforms, she becomes bigger in more aspects than one, which is... Let's leave that aside, okay? Let's leave that aside, that she has two giant... whatever. Point is, she's now in the game. You can, by the way, see her high distance here. That's the normal character, and this is when she's transformed. Her hair change is completely different as well, because that's also a thing where she's like, oh man, when I grow old, I want to have a different hair color. Don't judge her, okay? Point is, she's in the game now. Her weapon is an Odachi, which is a real weapon, but it's supposed to be used by, you know, like really big samurai people. Even with her wish, she is not that big, not that tall, so how is she gonna wield an Odachi? I don't know. Like, this is kind of weapon that takes like a half a minute just to even draw out of the scabbard, and then like half another minute to put it back in the scabbard. Like, okay, good job. It's like a Monster Hunter longsword. So what does she actually do? She's a Blast Gorilla balance type with super balanced stats that are actually pretty good. That is, gives attack up on connect. I mean, most people do that, but she's about blast and blast salutation. Hold up, is this just tart? Yeah, we actually did some comparison. This is basically just tart, but in a little bit of a different flavor. Now keep in mind that both tarts are limited. You can't just get them. But this now means we have the very first time unlimited light blast character that's a little bit like tart, okay? So yeah, she gives attack up, she gives light attack up, which already kind of hamstrings her team building exercises that you might want to partake in, because, you know, you're not always going to throw her on a light team. But I don't think that even matters that much, because when you're playing blast characters, you're probably going to play them like solo blast to do like farming. You can do PvE farming, maybe you want to do mirrors or whatever and get easy wins. In both of those cases, you're playing solo or like have one support AI with you. But the point is, you're not going to do many connects anyway, if any connects, so her connect not being that great doesn't really matter. Same thing with her Magia. Her Magia, I think, does damage in a line, which we haven't seen in a long time, or even horizontal or vertical, I don't know. Which we haven't seen in a long time. It's attribute strengthened, which is great if you're actually ever going to use it. It gives blast damage up, light attack up, and defense up to self. Sadly not to self, but maybe the doppel gives it to multiple people. We don't know. But yeah, the Magia is like, sure, I mean, if you're ever gonna Magia with her, the fact that she buffs herself with at least one decent buff, which is the light attack up, is pretty darn good. Hopefully it goes on everyone. But even if it doesn't, like I said, since you're mostly gonna play her solo, either doing farming or maybe mirrors, it doesn't really matter that much what her Magia and Connect really are. But they are there, and they prioritize light attack up, so you probably, at least specifically for the Connect, you might want to have other characters on the team that are light. What else does she do? Yeah, by the way, the fact that she gives herself light attack up means that you can stack attack up on her easier, because she's not going to cap on, she's going to have a harder time capping on attack up, because all of those extra bonus buffs that she gets are going to be funneled into light attack up instead, which is a different cap altogether. Now, what are her SE that we've seen so far? The active is blast up. and damage cut, which by the way is absolutely fantastic for mirrors. Blast up is a fantastic active for mirrors, just to be able to kill stuff a lot more easily, while at the same time, if you for some reason, you really should be able to, but if you're somehow not able to actually clear everything on turn 1 in mirrors, which if you're playing a solo blast character, you really should be able to, but if for some reason you don't, because maybe the enemy guarded or evaded, or they have guts, or like endure, or they have some other weird quirk to them that makes you not be able to kill them, then you still have the damage cut to hopefully survive, and because you have a decent amount of defense, it's not amazing, but it's still pretty darn decent. You might be able to survive that, so that's pretty cool. So she's going to be looking at like a pretty decent Solo Mirrors character. How does she stack up against most other Solo Mirrors characters? She's missing some attack for really being really good. The Yosu is probably still going to be better. Kyoko is probably still going to be better. Mokyu is going to be better. Did I already say Mokyu? And of course, Aniyachi is always going to be the queen of mirrors, so maybe she's like the 5th best, 6th best now. I don't know, she's not as high up on the list as you might expect, but still overall, if you have absolutely no other unit for solo mirrors, the fact that she's unlimited is that some people might just randomly run into her even if they have no other solo mirrors character, and if you get her just 2 slot, you don't only need 2 slot for solo mirrors, because the other 2 slots are going to be useless in solo mirrors unless you actually get hit, so she seems like a decent choice for that. Her other passives are blast damage up, blast salutation, in case you want to play her in longer form content and actually get to mirrors, to doppel or magia sometimes. And she also gives herself light attribute attack up passive as well, so yeah, it's some really nice effects. They're okay. Nothing super duper amazing. She's not going to shake the meta, she's not going to be played that often in any game mode really, but the point is that she's an extremely solid option as someone to just randomly run into while you're doing anything else on a rather new account. Like if you have a new account, maybe like let's say like a year from now you have a new account, you started and you just randomly roll her on the gacha, she's actually going to be a really decent choice as someone who can farm PvE very easily, and as someone who you can potentially put solo mirrors with. Sounds great. More in the review video when we actually know the entire rest of her kit as well. Now, what are the Moria? One of them is actually really good. The top one gives attack up 6, which is 30%, which is actually amazing. It also gives damage cut 3, which is also pretty darn good, okay? But for the most part, like 30% damage attack up with 2,247 attack, that's amazing. That's extremely high attack, but it gives defense down to self. And I think that's fine. I'm a really big fan of game mechanics, just generally in video games. You get something for it, but it also takes something away. As long as that something that it takes away isn't something ridiculously important, like let's say in Dark Souls you get like an item that makes you deal 20% more damage, but you can't roll anymore. I mean, sure, you could make use of that, but for 99% of players that's going to be useless, okay? But the point is, I like it generally when you have to take some sort of downside into consideration, but you get some really good upsides from it. I'm usually a really big fan of that. Surrender to Madness in World of Warcraft was one of my favorite abilities, like the original version before it got nerfed into the fucking ground because it was too good. So yeah, this one's actually doing pretty darn good. However, that's only if you're lucky. If you're pretty darn unlucky, you might instead get hit with this one, which it gives defense up, damage cut, like also damage cut, so it gives defense up, damage cut, and attack down. Now, if you're putting this on a super duper hyper defensive character, it's going to be amazing. It's going to be one of the best defensive Moria in the entire game. Problem is, defensive characters haven't been relevant to any game mode in 5 years, so I mean, maybe someday defensive characters are going to become important, but people have said maybe someday tanks are going to become important. They said that 3 years ago. It's now 3 years later. They still haven't become important anywhere. So maybe defensive characters really aren't that important, okay? And the last one, I don't even care about that one. Attack up and blast up. It's only like 2 and 2, so basically nothing. So yeah, overall, really good Memoria, really solid choice to just randomly roll as a free-to-play character if you don't have another good blast character. So sounds pretty darn good. What is the event about? The event is about stuff. It's a double tower, okay? It's a double tower event, so first off, good job farming, good luck farming this one with pumping AP into this 24/7. I'm gonna do that as well. Great. I'm gonna spend a lot of time on that. The actual story is apparently about her brother. I want to mention this, the word Onisan that is used right here could also be used to just refer to some older guy. I mean, older as in like just older than her. It might just be like she's like 11 or 12 or whatever. Maybe it's like some guy who's like 16 or whatever. It doesn't really matter, like 17. It doesn't matter. The point is, could also refer to just some older person that she's referring to here. But it's probably gonna be her brother that she's referring to. Why that becomes important is because the story is about her brother, like Oni-san, finding a girlfriend and getting engaged with that girlfriend. So probably a little bit over, a lot older than that, even maybe like over 20 or whatever. And she doesn't like that because she wants the guy to herself. And so she enlists Hotaru, her friend, to basically break the two up. Which is, you know, it's like a sort of like childish teen. It's not really teen drama. It's like a children's drama that you might see this sometimes in children's shows where like children are being like, oh no, this person is getting in with a bad boyfriend or girlfriend. We need to do the good thing and drive them apart. I don't fucking know. And at the very end, they discover that oh no, that person is actually a really good person. And I'm being an idiot for trying to drive them apart. But the problem is that this kind of implies that she's in love with her brother, and that might be yikes. So. That was that. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, and I'll see you guys next time.